The Holocaust was a series of atrocious and unspeakably awful events that took place over a period of time between 1933 and 1945. These events began through the influence of one single man in Germany named Adolf Hitler. Let us take a walk through a timeline of events in Germany and the other countries that were involved in the slow and long process of the Holocaust. November 11, 1918, marked the end of World War I. Most countries that were involved in this war were negatively affected, but Germany was especially so. Their economy was incredibly poor and in absolute shambles. The German people were looking for hope and for someone to bring their country back to success. Adolf Hitler would come along and offer this hope. Hitler was the leader and founder of the Nazi Party, which was responsible for the events of the Holocaust. Hitler believed that it was his duty to rescue Germany from their humiliation of defeat after the war and to rid the nation of any non-German citizens, including Jews. Hitler possessed the gift of oratory skills and captivated the audiences he spoke in front of. January 30th, 1933. German President von Hindenburg was convinced to name Hitler Chancellor in effort to unify the German government after elections had failed to come to an agreement on a majority. March 22, 1933. The Dachau concentration camp opens near Munich, less than 2 months from the time Hitler came to be Chancellor. August 2, 1934. German President von Hindenburg dies. Hitler becomes Führer after a law was passed only the day prior that stated upon the death of Hindenburg, the Chancellor would assume full legal power of Germany. September 15, 1935. Nuremberg race laws against Jews were decreed. These laws excluded German Jews from marrying or having relations with persons of German or related blood. Those who had Jewish grandparents and great-grandparents and themselves had converted to Christianity were still believed to be Jews and would not escape the hatred of the Nazis. There were cases of priests, nuns, and ministers still being labeled as Jewish due to their heritage. February 10, 1936. The German Gestapo was placed above the law. The Gestapo are able to act as they please with direct orders from Hitler. January 1937. Jews are banned from many professional occupations, including teaching Germans and from being accountants or even dentists. They are also denied many tax deductions and child allowances. April 1938. An order is passed that required Jews to register wealth, property, as well as owning businesses. November 1938. Kristallnacht. This marked the first act of violence against Jews. Shops were demolished, burned, and looted of those owned by Jews. Nazis then fined the Jews 1 billion marks for damages related to the events of Kristallnacht. September 1939. Nazis and Russians invade Poland and divide it up. November 23, 1939. Yellow stars become required to be worn by Polish Jews over the age of 10 after Germany marched in. November 15, 1940. The Warsaw Ghetto, containing over 400,000 Jews, is sealed off. In 1941, Hans Frank, ruler of Poland, states, "I ask nothing of the Jews except that they should disappear." This quote is a stark differentiation from the popular opinion prior to Hitler and the Nazis coming into Poland. In the summer of 1941, Himmler summons Auschwitz commandant Haas to Berlin and tells him, "The Führer has ordered the final solution of the Jewish question. We, the SS, have to carry out this order. I have therefore chosen Auschwitz for this purpose." September 1st, 1941. German Jews ordered to wear yellow stars to easily recognize citizens as being inferior at a simple glance. December 7th, 1941. This date would mark a turning point in World War II. The Japanese attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor. Subsequently, the next day, the United States and Great Britain declared war upon Japan. December 11th, 1941. Hitler officially declared war on the United States. President Roosevelt then asked Congress for a declaration of war on Germany, saying, "Never before has there been a greater challenge to life, liberty, and civilization." The United States of America then enters the war in Europe and will concentrate nearly 90% of their military resources to defeat Hitler. June and July 1942. The New York Times reports via the London Daily Telegraph that over 1 million Jews have already been killed by Nazis. This number was increasing at an incredibly rapid pace. In December 1942, in an effort to cover up their actions, exterminations at Belzec cease after an estimated 600,000 Jews have been murdered. The camp is then dismantled, plowed over, and planted. March 14, 1943. The Krakow ghetto is liquidated in an effort to cover up the treatment of those imprisoned there. April 9, 1943. Exterminations at Chelmno cease. The camp was reactivated in the spring of 1944 in an effort to liquidate remaining ghettos. In all, Chelmno totaled more than 300,000 deaths. May 13, 1943. German and Italian troops in North Africa surrendered to the Allies. May 19, 1943. Nazis declare Berlin to be Judenfree, or cleansed of all Jews. June 6, 1944. D-Day. Allied landings in Normandy on the coast of northern France happen. July 24, 1944. Russian troops liberate the first concentration camp where over 360,000 people had been murdered. October 1944. The last transport of Jews to be gassed, 2,000, arrives at Auschwitz, and the gas chambers are used for the very last time. November 25, 1944. Himmler orders destruction of the crematories at Auschwitz in an effort to destroy evidence of the intent to rid of bodies. January to May 1945. Concentration camps were liberated and the remaining prisoners were freed. Most were left lost, confused, alone and afraid after their families and friends had been killed, and the Nationals were still very much accustomed to the idea they were to hate Jews and those who were imprisoned in the concentration camps. March 11, 1946. Former Auschwitz Commandant Haas, posing as a farm worker, is arrested by the British. He testifies at Nuremberg, then is later tried in Warsaw, found guilty, and hanged at Auschwitz on April 16, 1947, near Crematory 1. Haas wrote in prison, "History will mark me as the greatest mass murderer of all time," and was included in his memoirs about Auschwitz.